this is Michael from Expanse VR and welcome to the first in my challenge series videos. The purpose of these videos is just to set you up some small and simple tasks for you to challenge yourself and come up with a solution based on them. Now, a lot of the videos that you see online, the YouTube tutorials, very much show you how to do things, but they actually don't show you how to solve the problems yourself. And as a programmer, that is our one main task. Our one biggest skill set is solving problems. So the purpose of these videos, I guess, is to help you to become a better problem solver. Each video will be split into two parts. The first one will be where I set you a series of tasks to perform. And just take note that when you do this, that you don't have to solve every one in there. If you get stuck on something, that's fine. Part of the learning journey is actually making mistakes and finding out how to do them better. And of course, the second video will be showing you my approach to solving those particular tasks. Now, quite often there'll be many different ways you can do it. This video is going to be a perfect example where each one of the tasks that I set can be actually solved in a couple of different ways. Sometimes I'll show you the different ways, sometimes not. But just understand that the best part about this is that you don't worry about building a game or do anything like that. Just challenge yourself and see how far you can get on each one of these. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and of course click that notification button down below to make sure you are notified whenever I post a new tutorial for you. Now, each video is going to have a couple of different steps to it. The first one, I'm going to explain to you the tasks. The second part will be where I show you just how to set up the project ready to try and have your attempt at the tasks. And the third part, which will be in a separate video, will be me showing you how I actually accomplish those tasks in my way. So the tasks I have set out for you for this one, and as you can see, it's just a little tank simulation here. We've got a little guy here who's going to be shooting at different objects. And 1A is just rotating the turret to look at the target. As I mentioned earlier, sometimes it's going to be a couple of different ways that things can be done. There are definitely two different ways that this can be accomplished. The second part, so 1B of the first task, is that the turret should only rotate around the y-axis. And what I mean by that is if I come up here, we're just going to rotate around the y-axis here. I don't want to see any sort of up and down rotation. The second task is again split into three different components. So the first part, 2A, is just to fire the missile at the target. Just a straight front, so you'll be instantiating an object and firing it towards the target. Again, this is another one where you can be done in a couple of different ways. The second part is to use some effects and some sound effects to simulate the firing. In this case, just a noise when you shoot and some smoke and effects when you shoot as well. To give an example, there we go. You can see the smoke and fire and you can hear that sound effect. And the third part, which is sort of a bit of a bonus part, as I haven't really covered this in any of my videos, is animation. Is just to see if you can animate the turret to have a bit of a recoil. If I get in there a bit closer, so just like a real tank would when it fires, it rotates around and you can see that recoil. So that's our first and second task, which are the main ones I want you guys looking at. As a third bonus task, at the moment, the way it's been set up is that we just automatically aim at this target here. If I just move and push play, now if I move it around, it's automatically going to just keep targeting this particular object. What I'd like you guys to do for the third option, the bonus one, is have it so we actually have some targets. And with these targets, you can actually click and our tank will start aiming at that particular target. Before I let you guys go and have a try at this, final part is I'm just going to show you how to set this up and the free assets that I've used to accomplish a lot of this. So if I start off, I'll just save this here, start off with the new scene. And by the way, I'm using Unity 2020.3 LTS, which is what I recommend you use for this. And I'm using the universal render pipeline for it. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter which version you're using. It should all work no matter what. So here all I'm doing is I'm creating where are we? A plane, making it a little bit bigger. So this will be ground. And if you don't know what I'm doing there, I'm pushing R for the shortcut. Now the first asset that we need to bring in from the Unity store is this one here, the cartoon tank. Again, these are all free assets. I'll have a link to them all down below. This one's a great one just because it's pretty cool looking and it's easy to use. So once you've added it to your assets, all you need to do is click on Open in Unity and it will bring you up to this one here, which you then just click on Import and it'll bring it right in. I've already done that. And if you click on this one here, the cartoon tank free folder, you got all these selections here of all the prefabs that come with it. The one we want is one of the tanks, tank free. What you may find as well is that you will need to upgrade this if you've gone with the universal render pipeline or one of the other ones like the high definition render pipeline. To do that, all you need to do is come down to render pipeline, universal render pipeline, and upgrade your project. That's if you're seeing it with the purple shader. So once you've done that, pick whichever color you want, doesn't really matter. Last time I went with yellow, but as this example, I'm going to bring in the red one. And once again, if you just hit the W key, so where are we? The W key on your keyboard, which will give you the gizmos to move your assets. You're just going to pull it up till it's just above the ground. And I think that was like 0.75 or something from memory. Let's see. Yeah, pretty good. 0.73 upwards anyway. Where it is in the rest of the scene doesn't really matter, just as long as it's above the ground. And the bit that you're wanting to rotate, if you come over into the hierarchy, you can just open this up here, is that you want to rotate the tower. So if you hit E to bring up the rotation gizmo, so this is what we want to rotate here. In saying that, I would recommend having your script attached to this part here, to the actual prefab. Once you've done that, I would advise to actually, if you go to prefab and unpack the prefab and then create your own one. I've got my own little folder here for prefabs where I've created everything I need. So that's all you need for that. I then used just a simple sphere as my moving target. Just so to have something to aim at. But you can use whatever you want, and it'd be cool to see your screenshots of what you actually do decide to use as your target. That's all you really need for the first tasks that I've set, is that you've got your tank and you've got your target. Also, if you don't want to bring in the asset, if you've got limited bandwidth or just can't be bothered, you can just use simple primitives to make your actual tank as well. For instance, you could just use a cube. Where we go, reset. 1? No, 0.5. I always forget. 0.5, that could be your tank. And you can duplicate it and bring that up. If you use the R key to bring up your resize gizmo, you can just bring it down, in, bring it down, and that could be your turret there. You would need to go around and make a few changes to make this work as well. If you do decide to do that way, I'll let you figure that part out yourself. But yeah, either way works. I just use this because I think it looks cooler. I think it's also good at seeing how to use assets, and it's always a good practice for that. So that's the two things that you need there. When it comes to the second task of actually shooting, again, I just use the prefabs. I use the missiles. So here I just kept it to color. As you can see, they're quite small, but about the right size of what your tank would be shooting at. You will need to add a few things in here. You'll need a spawning point for it. I won't go too much into it, but also just to give you a little bit of tip on the first one before I do forget, the first task. If you have a look at the FPS shooter, again, I'll put a link into that. The look at function in there, the mouse look, there are some similarities in what I do there as one of the options for this one. So if you want a bit of a hint, you can look at one of those. So that's your first and second task. Oh, and the second part of the second task. This one here, the War Effects by Gene Moreno, who does quite a few different effects sounds. This one again is another free asset, a great one to use. This is what I used for the sound effect for when I shoot. I believe once I imported it, it comes into here, the JMO assets. I used this one here, Explosion Small, but you can use whichever one you want. Just a great fun one to use. And lastly, these are the free sound effects that I used. I know it says grenade, but it sounds pretty damn good to me as an explosion. Again, once you import this into Unity, it comes into the into the grenade sound effects folder. If you have a look at the sound effects, as the grenade sounds and the grenade short. I use the short ones because if you have a listen, you go straight into the sound, while the other ones almost had like something like you're arming the grenade or something. So just use one of the short sounds there that fits best for what you ever want to use. And lastly, for the actual targets, again, you can use whatever you want. I just simply went back into the cartoon tank ones and used some of the crates. Where are they? The boxes here, and just resized them to make them a little bit bigger. And that's as simple as it was. So that is everything that you need for the challenge for this week. Remember, try as much as you can. If you come up with a different answer to what I do, that's fine. I will go through some of the different options in the next video, showing you why you might use some of them. But the best thing to do is just to give it a try. The only other little bit of tip I will give, especially if you want to do more of these challenges, so you don't have multiple different projects for the challenges, I'd simply create one challenge project with your scripts. I'd probably go ahead and create a folder inside saying something like challenge 1. Oops. Typing is horrendous at the moment. And just put all your different scripts in there. A little bit of another tip there, you can sort of see the different scripts I've used to accomplish all 3 tasks. And lastly, again, just so that you can continue using the same project for the different challenges that come up, is I'll use namespaces for your scripts. If you don't know that, do a quick look into it. I do explain that in some of my videos as well, and I'll go into it again just one more time on the next video when I explain how the challenge works. But that is it for this video. Again, if you have any troubles or any questions, please don't hesitate to jump into Discord and ask away. But the biggest thing about this is just to try it yourself and see how far you can get. Okay, well, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and share to help grow our beautiful Unity community. And don't forget to hit that subscribe and notification button below to make sure you get to see our next video. See you shortly.